A group of protesters campaigning against the construction of HS2 have spent months secretly building a network of tunnels near Euston station in London. This is incredible. In September, members of the HS2 Rebellion group had set up camp in London's Euston Square Gardens to protest against the £106 billion scheme. But the BBC revealed yesterday the group have also spent months digging a 100-foot-long network of tunnels 15 feet below the station. One activist described it as an ant nest with lots of different routes. The thought is a complicated web of tunnels underground will further delay construction of the high-speed rail line. During a police raid on the camp above ground yesterday, where dozens of activists were evicted from the site, some protesters retreated into the tunnels with food, sleeping mats, battery packs and even juggling balls. And it's thought that 4 people are still underground. The group have sealed the entrance. They vowed to continue digging to delay construction of HS2 for as long as possible. We'd love your thoughts on this. Maybe you know somebody who's protesting. Maybe you've seen the protests at Euston. Maybe you're against HS2, but you think tunnels, not such a good idea. Text us 88291 or email your phone number to vine@bbc.co.uk. Let's speak to Ben Harvey. He's one of the protesters. You've been inside this tunnel, Ben.
Yes, hi, Jeremy. I have, yes. It's Ben Hartley, by the way.
Ben Hartley, I'm so sorry. So you've been into the tunnel and you helped in the building of it or not?
I've been in there and I've had a great admiration for the wonderful work that they're doing. It's incredible hard work that they put into this construction.
I can
offer you a slight correction on what you were saying. There are in fact 2 tunnels and there are 9 people in them.
Okay, 9 people right now who essentially have shut the door above them, have they?
Indeed, yes, and that's an exclusive for you, Jeremy.
All right, thank you for that. I'm just trying to work out how you dug 100-foot of tunnel without anybody cottoning on, but I guess it's like the war movie where you had cover, and what were you doing with the soil?
Yes, we had little bags and we put them down our trouser legs and then we weren't walking out. No, depositing some of it outside, but there was a structure, perhaps 100 feet long, no, 60 feet long, and a large amount of the spoil was kept inside the structure itself.
And the
tunnel... the floor level is about 2 feet higher than it used to be in there.
You've helpfully told us you've got 2 tunnels. Where are they going under the actual station?
No, it's Euston Square Gardens, London Parkland, which is going to be pointlessly destroyed right outside the station. And so the tunnels are underneath that site. And
the filming and so on, the footage we've seen was emerged yesterday. Am I right? Until then, the authorities did not know what you've been doing.
This is our understanding. That's a bit of a surprise since they have brought a tunnel, a team with them ready to remove people from tunnels. Although they do seem a little ill-prepared, they've only brought 1 air compressor despite there being 2 tunnels.
Now, the worrying thing for people watching this from a distance is that tunnels are, by nature, dangerous. And I talked to somebody earlier about, how you were propping them, and she said, we've got very high-quality wood. Well, I mean, that rings all kinds of alarm bells.
But what rings the alarm bells?
Well, the fact that wood as a prop in an underground tunnel might not hold, and you've got people down there.
Oh, wood is the standard material that's used. The people who do tunnel rescue, for example, they would use exactly the same materials as we use. There's 20mm plywood, which goes along the roof of the tunnel, and then there's 100mm by 50mm crossbars, they call them roof plates, and floor plates, and equally the uprights that hold them.
Okay,
and then you put kicker bars in, which prevents side slip. I've got
that's really good information for our next guest. Stay there.
The tunnel is also lined with a lighter material to aid movement along it.
Okay, stay there, Ben, if you can. Simon Pitchers is listening, chartered structural engineer, director of Arc Bowen and a consultant to Craddy's. And you know your stuff, Simon. From Ben's, would you want to ask Ben any questions about the construction?
Well, I was wondering whether Ben has encountered any other utilities or services or pipes or cables during this exercise.
Ben?
No, there aren't. There's absolutely none at all. There's simply the soil. Tree root. There was 1 tree root, but that was much higher up.
What's your concern, Simon?
Well, the problem is, I mean, first of all, it is a very dangerous exercise anyway, DIY tunnelling. particularly if you haven't done the proper investigations in advance, and particularly if you're really close to a station where there's all sorts of infrastructure that usually is investigated very, very thoroughly before you even put a spade in the ground. So if you're too close, for example, to the top of an underground tunnel, that's serving the underground, you can actually be in an exclusion zone where they're concerned that you might actually be causing damage to that tunnel. So if we're going down here 15 feet, I'd be a bit concerned, that you haven't sort of checked what you might be interfering with when you do it.
Ben?
We have checked, and the underground tunnels are absolutely miles away. It's approximately about 300 metres from the station. You would hear the underground long before you go anywhere near it, and the underground is way further than 15 feet. If we came across something like a utility or a pipe of some sort, we'd absolutely not go near it. We'd fill that part in and we'd go in a different direction. There's nothing of that sort anywhere near it.
Simon, what about the materials being used? There was a mention of plywood.
Can I just address the danger point for a moment?
Yes.
Okay, so in terms of danger, whilst, of course, it's safer to stand above ground than be below ground, they are very well constructed by people who are very serious and professional. And the reason why people who are hardworking and serious professionals are doing it is because we are facing the biggest crisis our species has ever faced, which is the extinction of our species. Within my lifetime and your lifetime, Jeremy, this is the job we must all be doing now, is ensuring the continuation of the life on this planet.
But my understanding about HS2 was it was about putting people in trains and getting them out of cars, which you should be in favour of.
Unfortunately, that isn't the truth of it.
Well, what is the truth of it? Because I thought it was a train service.
The reality is that it's a widespread... if they really wanted to improve the train service, then they'd spend the 200-odd billion, which is the latest projected figures, on the existing train service and improving that. It's a vanity scheme, really.
Simon, if I don't want to dwell on the...
Very limited transport benefit. That amount of money would be much better invested in a lot of other methods of transport, a lot of other things that could take the strain off roads and so on. It actually doesn't even provide jobs, people losing jobs through it.
Simon, I'm trying not to dwell on the doom-laden thing here, but if the tunnel... I'm assuming it's very difficult, Simon, to send non-protesters down that tunnel because of the rules that you need to follow to ensure that they were safe.
Absolutely. And it may be that they'll want to introduce additional safety measures as they proceed, so that they've got safe access, or maybe even create additional access, by digging next to the tunnel so that they can gain access that way. But there's all sorts of hazards, ventilation, speed of exit, flooding if you hit a water main accidentally or it decides to leak on you. And it's a confined space. So there are special rules when anybody goes into a confined space. You've got to have special training and everything to do with that. So it is a very hazardous thing.
But then again, the protesters want to stop HS2, and if you build a tunnel of this size near a massive part of the project, they're gonna get their wish, aren't they? Because I'm trying to work out how anyone can even go down there safely.
Yeah, it's a real challenge. It really is. First of all, to protect the people who are going down there, but then also to make sure that the people who are in there already are kept safe. But I think that's the whole idea of the protests. It's to try and draw as much attention as possible to the subject by making it as difficult as possible to get to them.
Thank you very much indeed. Simon Pitchers, who's a chartered structural engineer, director of Arc Bowen and consultant to Craddy's, and Ben Hartley, getting the surname right there, one of the protesters who has been in the tunnel and was explaining the reasons for it. What an amazing story. Today's show, I mean, that to dig a tunnel that size in a major European city by using a tent as cover. Boy, oh boy. Okay, we're talking about HS2. How does it work? How do you dig a tunnel? And if you are a protester and you don't want HS2, you may well say good on them. Phil texts from Lancashire, if the HS2 protesters can build tunnels like that, Boris should have asked them to build Crossrail. It would have been done in half the time, and he could have paid them a lot less. As I said, I don't want to be apocalyptic here, but can you imagine if terrorists had done that? If they had put a camp... Well, they wouldn't have got the camp up, I suppose, but the camp was a fixture, so that was kind of accepted. So everyone knew the tents were there. You could see them if you were driving past. But under cover of the tents, the digging happened. It's extraordinary. Helen Frederick emails, HS2 is so destructive, using a lot of CO2 in its construction. They say the project will help towards the UK's net zero target of 2050, but that's a lie. It won't be carbon neutral for over 100 years. Protesters are being evicted roughly, and there have been assaults up and down the country, and the police just look on. Let's see, we've got Bobby in Potters Bar and Rose Browning in Somerset. You go first, Rose.
Oh, hello, Jeremy. Yes, I was very excited to hear last night about the discovery of these tunnels, having been at Fairmile, the A30 protest many years ago.
Oh, that was the swampy one, was it?
It was indeed. Swampy was one of many people who were involved in the tunnelling there, and I did actually go down one of the tunnels called There Be Dragons. Didn't like it, and very much have put their lives on the line, really, to try and protect our environment.
Understood. Bobby, listening in Potters Bar, you don't agree, you're a former miner.
Yes. What they're doing is, I'm on for the safety of these guys, and what they're doing is very, very dangerous, and the timber they were using wasn't really up to satisfaction, and that's not the way you timber out a tunnel. You're supposed to go down square and in square, and then all the timbers has to be close-boarded with head trees and sole plates, and then wedges put in them to stop any movement in the ground. Just not like that, up and down, like a roller coaster.
Yeah, you saw the pictures, Bobby, and you're concerned about their safety.
And I was absolutely mortified. I nearly went down to pull them out myself, to be fair, because I thought these people are going to die in there, because you've got the vibration of the trains and everything else going, and maybe a big shower of rain, a heavy shower that'll get in there. And all it takes, them timbers that we're using is just like something you get out of a skip. To be fair, you have to use 6x3. Yeah, they didn't look at all safe, and they were crawling in and touching them. So if they knocked them, if there was a panic, if it did collapse, they would never get out to life.
Rose, it isn't responsible, is it, to do this?
It's desperate measures for desperate times, and they're fully aware that they are in a dangerous situation, but they are passionate people. You don't do that sort of thing if you're not passionate about what you're doing.
Let's stay there. We've got Pete in Farnborough. Pete, you don't agree with what they're doing?
Not at all. It's interesting. I mean, I personally think HS2 is a bit of a white elephant and the money could be better spent. So it's not that I'm pro that. It's just I do get rather annoyed that it's all very well to say these people are passionate, but to me it's anti-democratic and effectively it's economic terrorism, because all you're doing is you're trying to, it's maybe going to be £100,000 to spend on this to get them out.
How would you deal with it, Pete?
How would I deal with it? Well, it would be nice if you could give some kind of reasonable gradual escalation, like gradually fill the tunnel with water. I mean, obviously it's not acceptable to do that, but I don't know how you could do it, or coal or something, or basically just say, just reschedule, so you just pen them in and say, okay, we're only going to start work in a month's time, and they'll eventually come out. Would ideally be a way of doing it, but if it hits schedules, I can see that would be expensive.
Rose, would you send rescuers in or not?
No, I wouldn't, because they don't want to be rescued. May I just say that about the democratic situation, Chris Packham, there's been a huge petition going on for a long time regarding HS2, and there's a very large number of people on that petition asking for it to be looked at again in government. Now, if that's not democracy, I don't know what is.
Well, petitions aren't really, but this is more about the tunnelling and whether it's acceptable way of protesting. Neil in Loch Leven says digging a tunnel under a railway station is a criminal act, causing danger to life and limb. But why do we consistently ignore the issues that people are protesting about? HS2 is costing hundreds of billions. It's going to destroy our native landscape. I live in Scotland and I'm never going to use it. And I should say the protester that we had on, just to be fair here, did point out it's is it 100 yards from the station or so it's not directly going underneath the actual station, which would be lunacy. Margaret Marsh in Helsby in Cheshire says, who is actually going to travel on HS2 if most people stay working from home rather than commuting? Who's going to do it? Very good point that the whole world has changed, hasn't it? And since the pandemic, and one of the things we're realising is that maybe we don't need to go point to point to have a meeting or do this or do that more and more stuff could be done on a screen. Maybe. Stephen says HS2 is a monstrous, unnecessary ecocide whose true horrors have been kept out of the headlines. The action by the Euston diggers, while controversial, is an amazing feat. Hats off to them.